You should hear what keeps him up at night.
This is what keeps me up at night. I don't understand how my fellow Americans, I don't even understand how this election is close. And yes, I'm voting for you, but I would also vote for that wall over there.
Well, he's half right. We do need a wall. You know, to keep out gang members, fentanyl dealers, human traffickers, and Anna Navarro. What's funny, though, is that Stern actually thought that was a compliment. Stern has become such a wussified sycophant, he doesn't realize that telling Kamala that he'd vote for a wall is telling her that he knows she's as dumb as one.
Howard Stern built his empire on shock, rebellion, and smashing the establishment. But when Greg Gutfeld took aim at the king of controversy, Stern went silent, dead silent. No comeback, no fury, just awkward silence that echoed louder than words. In a jaw-dropping live moment, Gutfeld didn't just question Stern's change, he exposed it as a full-blown sellout. The rebel became the system, and Gutfeld lit the fuse. What happens when the uncensored icon gets out-rebelled on his own turf? Have a look.
But that's how Stern can call snacking with celebs at a fancy restaurant exhausting. Exhausting. Like he finished the overnight shift in a coal mine, or hearing Kat talk about her pets.
Fair.
But I get it, life is tough, especially when you've been cut off from the world for 2 years in a $20 million beach house. I mean, you have no idea how tiring it is walking all the way from the wine cellar to the tennis court and back.
Some TV moments come and go, forgotten in seconds, but then there are those rare explosions that crash into pop culture like a meteor, blazing, loud, and impossible to ignore. The fiery showdown between Greg Gutfeld and Howard Stern on live TV was exactly that. This wasn't just a shouting match, it was a full-on cultural collision. Two media titans from completely different worlds collided, and only one walked away looking like he still belonged among the stars. Howard Stern has worn the crown of king of all media for decades.
But it is incredibly brave to take this stance after you've made $300, $400 million not being woke, right? Loving Donald Trump, exploiting the mentally ill, wearing blackface. Look at the crop of woke comics, whether it's Stern or Jimmy Kimmel, his BFF, Sarah Silverman, Joy Behar, Michael Ian Black. What do they all have in common? They wore blackface. And then they went woke. It's not a chicken or egg thing there. You know what order it came. So I call this BFR. It's blackface reparations. There's nothing in Stern's previous career that could withstand this modern witch hunt that he now embraces. So this is a form of restitution. Maybe he says, you know, if I'm woke too, the crocodile will eat me last. But they always do eat. But I get it. He flipped from populist to elitist because now he's with elitists.
If you're enjoying this video, don't forget to subscribe and hit that bell icon so you never miss a moment. Once the pioneer of shock radio, Howard Stern built an empire by doing what no one else dared. He was the loud, raw voice of rebellion, the unfiltered conscience for a generation sick of playing nice. Stern's name became a symbol of chaos, defiance, and controversy. You either loved him or hated him, but ignoring him? Impossible. But here's the catch with rebel royalty. Stay on the throne too long, and your edge begins to fade. Over time, Stern started changing iconically, slowly, but undeniably.
I will say this, Dagan. I thank God for Howard Stern because he does make me feel normal by comparison. Because I'm like the Fox recluse. I don't do anything. I don't go anywhere. But he makes me look like, you know, Pete Davidson on a...
Yeah, he's a germaphobe. Like, his wife rescues cats. That's her job, apparently, her thing. But you can get toxoplasmosis.
That's
and
true.
Cryptosporidiosis.
AIDS.
And
no, you can't.
No,
but
you can't get. But you can get.
I mean, what are the chances I get that again?
Like a lot of diarrhea related.
From loud-mouth outsider to polished celebrity interviewer, Howard Stern has gone from blasting the system to mingling with Hollywood's elite. The man who once erupted on air now often feels like a well-rehearsed talk show host. And Greg Gutfeld saw it, a glaring, vulnerable crack in Stern's once impenetrable armor. Gutfeld, love him or hate him, has perfected the art of televised battle. He's not just a political commentator, he's part late-night jester, part wrecking ball. He doesn't argue, he slices, mocks, and exposes. His nightly show is a cocktail of sarcasm, satire, and blazing commentary. Gutfeld made his name by torching sacred cows and lighting fires no one else dared touch. So when Stern's name casually dropped into one of Gutfeld's segments, then not so casually, the trap was sprung. What started as a passing jab turned into a sharp, almost surgical takedown. Gutfeld didn't just ask questions, he tore Stern's image apart, ridiculing the former Chaos King for preaching conformity from his luxury penthouse. Look at this clip, I will be right back.
On his radio show, Howard Stern defended wokeism, saying it's a compliment when someone calls him woke. Listen.
If woke means I can't get behind Trump, which is what I think it means, or that I support people who want to be transgender, or I'm for the vaccine, dude, call.
Let's be clear, this wasn't some throwaway joke. Gutfeld went in full force. He didn't paint Stern as a legend, he cast him as a warning. The message was piercing. Howard Stern, once a fearless rebel, had become the very thing he used to destroy. And in Gutfeld's world, that's the ultimate betrayal. Selling out, going soft, blending into the machine you once fought tooth and nail to dismantle. But Gutfeld didn't need to yell or foam at the mouth. He was razor sharp and cold-blooded. Like a surgeon with a scalpel, he cut straight to the truth. He compared the old Stern, wild, reckless, untamed, who mocked elites and made censors sweat, with today's carefully groomed version, all smiles, with the stars he once shredded. It wasn't loud, it was deadly quiet. A brutal takedown of a legacy built on chaos, now tipping toward respectability. The irony practically screamed. The man who mocked phoniness was now wearing the very mask he used to rip off others. Gutfeld didn't have to exaggerate, he simply laid it bare. The symbolism hit like a freight train. The shock jock who once spat on the red carpet now rolled it out for himself.
But Stern being holed up in his house that long, it explains a lot of things, like how you forget how other people live, especially in hard times like a pandemic. For the longest time, 2 years in fact, the same time Stern's been AWOL, I wondered where he went. Not physically, but mentally. I bet you did too. Remember his screeds about COVID? They were epic and angry, and not to mention wrong.
When are we going to stop putting up with the idiots in this country and just say, it's mandatory to get vaccinated? F them, f their freedom. I want my freedom to.
The man who once wore rebellion like a crown now seemed obsessed with one thing: approval. Hollywood approval, corporate approval, mainstream applause. And that's what made it all sting even more. Gutfeld's show lives off irreverence, turning sacred cows into flame-grilled targets. So when he zeroed in on Stern, it wasn't just a spat, it was a generational gut punch. One voice accusing another of selling its soul. The blow wasn't just personal, it was philosophical. And this time, Stern had no response, no fireworks, no fiery takedown, just an eerie, thundering silence. Gutfeld didn't need to declare victory, the moment did it for him. Viewers saw something real in it, and that was the knockout. Stern, once the loudest critic in the room, was finally the one being exposed, and it hit hard. Audiences watched Gutfeld paint Stern as a shadow of the rebel he used to be. It wasn't bombastic, it was cold, sharp, and piercing, and it struck a nerve far beyond just fans. It shook anyone who's ever watched a rebel go soft and slip quietly into the mainstream. The contrast between them was blinding.
Even when I watch them on Saturday Night Live with the where they have Maya Rudolph playing you, I hate it. I don't want you being made fun of.
Oh my God.
There's too much at stake. I believe the entire future of this country right now, I mean, as America, land of the free, home of the brave, I think it's literally on the line.
So a guy who's supposed to be funny for a living now claims her candidacy is too important to joke about. This is a guy who once joked right after the Columbine massacre that the killers should have raped the students before killing them. Not that I like that Stern, but this pendulum swing from saying the most tasteless thing in the universe to putting your balls in a Tic Tac container. You gotta wonder what's going on here. It's striking that the king of the most misogynistic humor ever now turns into a breathless over a progressive, hopelessly shallow candidate.
Stern built his legacy when breaking the rules meant real consequences. FCC fines, bans from networks, and furious sponsors breathing down his neck. But that pushback only made him stronger. Gutfeld, though, rose in a different battlefield, where cancel culture, outrage mobs, and social media takedowns rule the day. He didn't fight with shock value. He used sarcasm like a weapon. He mocked instead of cursed, exposed instead of exploded. This clash between Gutfeld and Stern wasn't just two media giants bumping heads. It was a war between two generations of rebellion. Gutfeld stands for the new digital uprising, fast, slick, meme ready, and ruthless in calling out hypocrisy and viral jabs. And the audience? They watched it all like a legal drama without a judge. Just two media gladiators and millions of viewers holding the gavel. But what burned Stern the most? Gutfeld didn't trash his past. He honored it. And that's where the real sting came from. Because the insult was hidden in the comparison.
Happy Friday, America! Oh man, tonight is a special night. It's Feminine Friday, where all the panelists are women. Tonight we have Kennedy, David McDowell, Kat Tim, and Janine Garofalo. All right. A long way for a meat joke. Okay, I hope you had a good week. I did, and no thanks to Howard Stern. True, the New York Post reported that Stern hit a chic restaurant in NYC with a crew of A-listers, including Jimmy Kimmel, Jennifer Aniston, Jon Hamm, Justin Theroux, Jason Bateman. I was not invited. I guess.
So Gutfeld made it clear, the old Stern would have shredded this new polished version to pieces. The man now seen on satellite radio and late night shows, dressed in designer hoodies, waxing poetic with Hollywood elites. The original Stern wouldn't have recognized him. Instead of slamming celebrities, he now seemed to softly chat with them like he was hosting a charity telethon. To Gutfeld, Stern had gone from cultural sniper to quiet media monk, silenced, styled, and strangely content with the very system he once torched. And once that picture took hold, it couldn't be erased. The reaction was immediate. Social media exploded with clips, comments, and shock from every corner of the internet. The moment went viral, not because it was outrageous, but because Gutfeld had finally said what countless old-school Stern fans had whispered for years. And suddenly, one burning question echoed everywhere. Can anyone truly stay a rebel forever?
Stern got even more pathetic, wondering how she doesn't nap.
When you said you don't nap, I get it, because like what you've taken on is extraordinarily difficult. And I mean, do you feel the pressure of the moment in the sense that, like when I met you out in the hall, I said, I'm really nervous because I want this to go well for you. I want it to go well for the country.
Hold on. I need a minute.
Is it inevitable? Do all firebrands eventually become part of the very establishment they once vowed to burn down? Or worse, do they start defending it once their seat at the table feels safe and warm? Gutfeld didn't just say Stern had changed. He dug deeper. The problem, he suggested, wasn't the evolution, it was the reason behind it. This wasn't some deep ideological awakening. It felt like pure survival mode. The man who once claimed he feared nothing now looked terrified of offending anyone. The guy who used to tear down celebrity culture now seemed desperate to be embraced by it. And to Gutfeld, that wasn't growth, it was surrender. Ironically, Stern's silence made everything even worse. The king of comebacks, the man who built his name by facing critics head on, suddenly vanished from the fight. No fire, no fury, just silence. It left people wondering, had Stern run out of steam? Had he been caught off guard? Or maybe, just maybe, did he secretly agree with what was said? Let's see here.
This definition of woke, it's if you call someone a know-it-all, you're not complimenting them on the breadth of their knowledge. Yeah. You're saying you don't know as much as you think you know. So yeah, woke doesn't have anything to do with vaccines. What it really means is sort of a slavish devotion to left-wing ideology and then repeating it so you can get social credit.
Right.
That's really what it means.
Yeah.
It doesn't mean that you're smarter than anybody. And he had said in another part of this set, because I believe in the science. Well, if you believed in the science, you wouldn't be hiding out like Howard Hughes in your mansion. So
viewers who once admired Stern's fire were left asking, where did that edge go? It wasn't just that he didn't fight back, it felt like he couldn't. Gutfeld threw the punch, and Stern didn't flinch, not with boldness, but with bewilderment. In a world where reaction is everything, Stern's silence wasn't just a missed chance, it felt like a quiet confession. And Gutfeld, he kept going, almost smugly. Like a man who knew he'd hit a nerve. He didn't boast. He didn't have to. The internet exploded on his behalf. Thousands of comments, retweets, and viral YouTube takes echoed his message louder than any monologue ever could. What made it all so jaw-dropping was that Gutfeld wasn't targeting just another celeb. He aimed at the man who once made his career by tearing down egos, exposing fakes, and torching hypocrisy. This wasn't gossip or petty drama. It was a brutal confrontation with legacy. Stern was being forced to face the weight of his own legend. And that's the price of greatness. Your past becomes the benchmark, and if you fall short, no one is harsher than the fans who once worshipped you.
I always hate that argument, like, what happened to the old Stern, or what people have changed. That's not what this is about. It's a weird disconnect.
Well, he hasn't changed.
No.
People have been calling him insane for 40 years.
Yeah,
that just used to be, this guy's nuts. And now they're like, oh, we're worried about Howard. He needs help. Mm-hmm. But I'll tell you, though, I'm a little sympathetic because what you said is correct, but I'm also a germaphobe.
Yeah.
And, you know, I just have a smaller apartment.
Yes.
So it's like
The entire exchange, whether direct or not, felt like a brutal commentary on the media itself, a mirror exposing its slow decay. Gutfeld's rise wasn't luck. It was built on the very fire that Stern once had, but now seems to have buried deep. Unfiltered humor, ruthless defiance, and zero tolerance for scripted fluff. That was once Stern's brand, but now it's Gutfeld's crown. While legacy media crumbles under the weight of censorship and corporate fear, Gutfeld has stormed in with raw, unapologetic commentary that hits home. He feeds the same craving for truth that Stern once satisfied, but while Stern now leans into soft chats and social approval, Gutfeld barrels forward like a wrecking ball. In this collapsing media world, this isn't just two men clashing, it's the torch being passed. It's not about politics, it's about authenticity, or at least the appearance of it. And in that electric moment on live TV, Gutfeld looked like the real deal. You can see an upcoming clip that the guy saying what others won't, even if it meant going after a legend. Meanwhile, Stern seems stuck, clinging to a past that no longer fit the man he's become.
Striking that the king of the most misogynistic humor ever now turns into a breathless over a progressive, hopelessly shallow candidate. But maybe that's the explanation. This is Stern's self-imposed penance for subjugating women to demoralizing stunts, capitalizing on desperate females thirsting for attention, even if it's from an oily paddle striking their bare asses.
Whether or not it's fair, that doesn't even matter. In media, perception is everything. The real question now is, what happens next? Does Stern find his fire again and shut the critics down? Or does he keep walking the smooth, safe road? More polished, more acceptable, but way less powerful. And what about Gutfeld? Now that he's proven he's not afraid to swing upward, is he becoming the new voice of raw, unfiltered commentary in a world starving for it? One thing is crystal clear. The torch was passed, or maybe it was ripped away. Either way, that showdown between Greg Gutfeld and Howard Stern wasn't just another media clash, it was a cultural earthquake, a generational shift, a public reckoning for a man who once was the reckoning. And whether you cheer for Stern or root for Gutfeld, you felt it. Something changed in that moment. Because this is what happens when a king gets challenged by the court jester. Especially when the jester is sharper, quicker, and still hungry for the fight.